Galamsey and then you and you took this. The mobile 30% become a Galamsey. So, Nanabia will be our chance as well. The Galamsey also
mining can create jobs, mining can improve livelihoods, and mining can generate wealth. But it cannot and must not do so at the expense of damaging the very environment that produces the riches.
I've been reluctant to implement a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency.
The gold needs to be taken out of the soil. It needs to be taken out of the ground. But then how do we do that? Do we do it indiscriminately? Do we do this careless way we are doing it?
When we know that we just issue licenses like confetti, but we don't have the resources or the will to enforce that when we give people licenses, they are going according to the parameters of their license.
Beneath the sun's glare, men dig not just into the earth, but into the future, unearthing wealth with one hand and with the other, burying generations in poisoned soils and broken trust. Waters bleed brown, choked by greed and desperation. The trees fall like forgotten promises, and the land groans beneath the weight of gold not yet spent. According to the U.S. Geological Survey 2022, the estimated global gold reserves stand at 54,000 tons. Ghana's reserves, according to data from the Bank of Ghana, stands at 37.06 tons as of September 30, 2025, up from 27.21 tons recorded during the same period in 2024. A treasure trove that should herald prosperity. Instead, for Ghana, this golden endowment has become a curse, fueling a crisis of unprecedented environmental and social destruction for over a decade. This is the story of Galamsey, illegal artisanal mining, and its relentless assault on a nation's future.
If you walk into the ministry and your first welcome address is the welcome minister, 44 out of your 288 forest reserve is completely gone. 9 of them are no go area. Your turbidity level that is supposed to be 0 to 500 is now out of the roof, and water cannot be treated. Plants are being shut down. The health consequences are unimaginable. Clearly, you needed to do a lot to address it. The president retreated that, saying that now he's looking at the lesser of two evils. That if he takes control and fight the illegal small-scale activities, it would affect the economy. And however, foreigners may probably would have been the president's purchasing good, and for us purchasing the Galamsey good seems the lesser of small evils, so that our economy can thrive. So at this point in time, we cannot say we are going to throw our hands in despair, but we are in a state of hopelessness in terms of fighting small-scale illegal mining in this country.
For centuries, small-scale mining in Ghana was a traditional, almost mutualistic relationship with the land. Panning for alluvial gold in riverbeds and digging shallow pits provided a modest supplementary income. It was labor-intensive, but generally low impact, sustainable, and regulated by community elders and traditional practices. The transition from this traditional practice to the destructive force we see today is rooted in a confluence of economic shifts and changing global dynamics.
What's the constitution? I'm a hope. So, Obibia, Madama, or Galamsey, oh, yes, you are a child. Hey, I can't. In
the past, aside farming, The main occupation of our forefathers was mining. My grandfather, Kwame Danso, was mining on his cocoa farm and growing his crops on the same farm. Illegal mining came to fester because of you politicians. Today, our cocoa is being destroyed because of you. Our orange farms and forests have been destroyed because these miners come with licenses. So what power do I have over them? The man has come with a license and he has given jobs to my subjects. So if I prevent him from mining, it means I am denying people of their livelihoods and they will beat me. Any negative impact brought by illegal mining is the fault of politicians. Today, illegal miners are accompanied by soldiers and police. All our forests and even our sacred places have been destroyed. You say we have the right to the topsoil, but what lies beneath is for you. But you are destroying our water bodies. When you send the miners, you don't follow up. You send people to mine on our land. What do you expect us to eat?
It was in 1989 that small-scale mining gained official recognition from the government with the passage of the Small-Scale Mining Act, PNDC Law 218, a law that will later be absorbed into the broader Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 703. While recognized by law as a legitimate livelihood, the stark reality is that more than 85% of small-scale mining operations still occur in the informal and illegal sector of the economy, completely outside state regulations.
We know we don't have a culture of enforcement. It's not just when it comes to mining, whether it comes to building regulations. People build on waterways, they build on parks, they build anywhere, and the duty bearers just look helplessly by. You look at noise pollution. People make excessive noise, causing a health hazard. What do the duty bearers do? You look at our Ramsar site. People have built it. I'm just using this to show that we know we don't have a culture of enforcement. So when you know you don't have it, what would be the purpose of allowing the level of small-scale mining that we have? When we know that we just issue licenses like confetti, but we don't have the resources or the will to enforce that when we give people licenses, they are going according to the parameters of their license. And Professor Frimpong Boateng put it very well, that if you have a license and you go outside the parameters of your license, you're engaged in illegal mining.
It was legitimized, structured, and claimed as a right for citizens, but foreign interests, particularly Chinese miners, began to pour in, drawn by the promise of untapped riches. They didn't arrive by chance. They were invited, aided, and shielded by some of the very people the law was meant to uplift. This is an illegal miner, arrested during a police swoop at the General Forest Reserve. He tells me how he operates in this enclave with others who flee the sea.
Where you are What Kobe? Na Kobe na mo say forest ni na. Me pacho e won dia omo mo ye adwuma hon na baby forest ba na baby nya forest. Na baby forest na baby nya forest inti me say no adwuma na mentanje ebi wa mkoba di na makoti kuku na iwuma na maba ti na ye ko mai because en mkoti ni kuku ma ti me hono na ombaje Galamsey ni biya na tifi ba ku na obaje me sakano to obaje ya odo koye no amse me ko akwaje abaya de won ti me ko na mitihi na na tuno toye
wanga sa ye Galamsey
o me an ye bai ye nyana yi sa o
ye Galamsey for how long na why Galamsey
is galanum ye be 2 months in ba ya minta nko da biya
why concessions so now we juma
ehona de omuni conscience say bia we conscience wona wo hono ehona ye bia land da hono wo betima kwa akodi ene bisu di follows no ene bi kura so ye juma wo mfichire
mpanyimfo be na unimamu amba omo concession ewo koben hono
de ni shere nipa no ye juma wo hono no friends say boga ni ono nko a ene wo machines so no de ye juma na wande na
With the arrival of foreign actors came a new era in Ghana's small-scale mining industry, one defined not by shovels and pans, but by the roar of excavators and the grinding force of chamfans. Heavy-duty machinery, once reserved for industrial-scale operations, began to dominate the forest and riverbanks. Hills were flattened in days, rivers diverted in hours, and the earth ripped open with relentless efficiency. According to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Anakofibua, this leaves him restless.
No, you can sleep. You can sleep. It's I tell everybody who understand the depth we have sunk that this is a crisis of our lifetime, and it must really be treated as such and dealt with. And that is why I have laid out a 5-pronged program to address this.
Illegal miners have increasingly relied on toxic chemicals to extract gold. Mercury and cyanide are the most commonly used substances. These chemicals are dangerous not only to the environment but also to human health. Mercury is used to bind gold particles during processing, but much of it ends up in nearby rivers and soil. Cyanide, often used in larger operations, is even more hazardous, capable of killing aquatic life and contaminating water sources used for drinking, farming and fishing. Professor Paul Poku say is a consultant histo and forensic pathologist at KNUST. He tells me how these chemicals used by illegal miners in the operations are harmful to human health.
They have actually also more or less evolved certain methods, certain technologies where they can combine all manner of metals so as to enhance high yield when this amalgamation is done. And so it's not only mercury, they use all manner of lead is also used in addition to mercury to make sure that they maximize the extraction.
The cost of this illicit wealth is immeasurable. According to the Forestry Commission, 44 out of 288 forest reserves have been invaded. 9 of these have been declared red zones with fully armed thugs. The Jemwa Forest Reserve, Afro Hills, Tano Anya, Ofin Shelter Belt, Anyasu East, Anyasu South, Subri, Esinanyon, and the Dizri are all invaded. For the water bodies, it even gets worse as the country's 3 water basin systems, Southwestern, the Volta, and Coastal Basin System, have all been destroyed. The river Ankobra, Pra, Tano, Bia, vital for biodiversity and climate regulation, are clear-cut and destroyed. Vice Chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Natural Resources, Sanja Nanja, expressed worry over the possible importation of water.
We are going to buy water at a very high cost, and how many people will afford that? And we say that, and the very things that are for our survival are being destroyed by Galamsey. We say that water is life, then the water is destroyed, polluted. Then we say when the last 3 dies, the last person also dies. And then we are killing the trees in the name of Galamsey. So our own lives are at risk.
Meet Openyi Kofi Wusu, a farmer in the western region. For years now, he has been battling with illegal miners who continue to invade his farmlands. According to him, the operations of the illegal miners affect his work.
Perhaps it's the first time I'll be saying it in public. I am prepared to put my presidency on the line in this matter.
those who are in prison for Galamsey are not the actual perpetrators of Galamsey. The big kingpins are not in prison. Those who are in prison are the small boys that they employ to work on their Galamsey concessions. And so they are victims of circumstances. And so if we are coming with a new fight against Galamsey, let's start by giving them let's bring them out, reform them, and do the things that will make them not go and do what they've done again. If somebody must be in prison, it's those district chief executives and ministers and others who are doing the Galamsey, not the people they are employing.
Successive governments have grappled with this crisis, each declaring war on Galamsey. The political will at times appears strong, yet the reality on the ground has been a relentless ebb and flow of destruction.
And we try sometimes to make things worse when we try to associate it with politicians. You see, the MPP, NDC, we are the big parties, and so the question is not who is doing it, but who does it more. So the MPP will say, oh, the NDC people are doing it more. Then the MPP will say, the NDC will say, oh, it is the MPP who is doing it more. Then this thing has gone into the public domain that, look, after all, whatever measures we are putting in place, it's a child's play. We are just trying to surface dress the problems.
In 2013, when the crisis had started to escalate, President John Mahama set up a 5-member task force to fight illegal small-scale mining. But the crisis persisted. This led to a complete ban on all forms of artisanal mining from 2017 to 2018 by the Akufo-Addo government. This was followed by a 6-month ban on legal small-scale mining. A military and police task force, codenamed Operation Vanguard, and the interministerial task force, named Galamstop, led by Professor Frimpong Boateng, were formed to enforce the ban. Hundreds of excavators were seized and items destroyed. Government later introduced the community mining scheme aimed at formalizing artisanal mining, providing legal concessions, and promoting responsible practices. The goal was to bring small-scale mining into the regulatory framework, ensuring environmental compliance and allowing the state to benefit from the gold. Akwasi Konedu, former Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, speaks to us.
One of the major ones that we did, getting even closer, and it became so popular with the people, was the initiative of community mining. I mean, there were quite a number of them, almost in excess of about 27 community minings that were launched. These ones pulled the individuals from where they were having the activities into groups such that they will be given a defined area where research has been done.
But all this yielded little or no results as the crisis expanded further. Ifosu Asari Emmanuel is assembly member for the Mumuni electoral area in the western region that has been cleared up by Akonta mining.
We the people around here, mostly Atara, is worrying us the most. And recently, because there was an operation, these Chinese people evacuate all their machines and then leave here. Meanwhile, the government said these Galamsey issues and all those things is stopping them. But you know, some remote areas like this, they used to come and hide here. Before you see that these Chinese people are here, they have destroyed the whole place.
In 2022, the fight was met with a contentious block with the passage of LI 2462, a legislative instrument passed under the Akufo-Addo administration that opened the door for regulated mining activities within forest reserves. This legal framework, according to critics, weakened the country's environmental protection laws and emboldened miners to encroach forest lands under the guise of government approval. When the Mahama-led government assumed office, there was widespread public expectation that the controversial LI would be completely repealed as promised during the campaign period. However, instead of scrapping it altogether, the new administration chose to amend the regulation, a move that disappointed many environmental advocates who saw it as a retreat from the government's earlier commitment. But the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources has assured that the government remains resolute in its stance and that LI 2462 will be repealed when Parliament resumes.
We believed initially that an amendment would address the issue, and that's why we went to Parliament to amend it 2501. But guess what? The people were not satisfied, and the call for a repeal had been mounting. As a listening government, the president has supported us to go ahead and completely repeal it. And guess what? I wrote to the Attorney General as the acting environment minister immediately and told the Attorney General that it's time to repeal that. The Attorney General has accepted, and as we speak, they are already working on the processes.
Awula Sewa, coordinator for eco-conscious citizens, believes the government lacks the political will to combat illegal mining.
If you really want to curb something, you need one thing, the political will. And it is a fact that on both sides of the political divide, whether it's the past administration, the current administration, you have persons who are involved in it. So when the firefighters are themselves the arsonists, you begin to have a challenge. We know that when Professor Frimpong Boateng wrote his report, it was gathering dust on somebody's desk until the media leaked it, and then it came to the public domain. But why was it sitting on somebody's desk? Because some of the actors were close to the administration. We remember the Catholic Bishops' Conference pointing to the fact that the information was that Akonta mining was allegedly destroying parts of the Tano-Nimiri Forest Reserve. What was the president's response? So you can put your presidency on the line, but if you cannot deal with your members or persons close to your administration who are involved or allegedly involved, then we have a challenge, and that is why we don't seem to have made any headway.
Many continue to ask why the crisis, despite all these interventions, is worsening.
It has been a problem. I remember in 2013 when His Excellency John Dramani Mani, his first term, there was this interministerial committees trying to fight it, and a lot of measures were put in place. Then looking at Akufo-Addo, His Excellency, also came and even at a point said that look, he was ready to fight Galamsey, even if it meant he losing his seat. And they were, and so he also put up some measures, Galam Stop, Operation Halt, and so many others. We have instances where various governments have even seized excavators or mining equipment and burned them. But as to whether all those measures put in place are working is another thing. So I can say every government after 1989 tried to combat Galamsey. Tried to do it. But why are we not able to fight it? It means that there are challenges.
According to the World Health Organization, potable water should not exceed 1 NTU, and under no circumstance should it surpass 5 NTU. But there is a widening gap between these acceptable levels and the current state of Ghana's rivers, which threatens not only water treatment infrastructure but also public health. Today, recent assessments reveal that some rivers record turbidity levels as high as 32,000 NTU, far beyond the capacity of treatment plants designed to handle a maximum of about 2,500 NTU. Even where slight improvements have been recorded, the figures remain dangerously above the safe threshold. Lands Minister Ama Kofi-Boah says the government is up to task with several initiatives in place.
The President launched the Tree for Life initiative, which is a very comprehensive program, combination of reclamation and replanting to really cover the 5,000 hectares of land. Think about it, 7,500 football fields that we need to reclaim. And also the Blue Water Initiative, basically to deal with the devastation with the water and then make sure that we can make our waters drinkable and safe for the fisheries environment. And so there's a lot we are doing.
Despite a change in government, with new interventions, treatment plants struggle and costs soar, the murky waters stands as a grim reminder that the fight against Galamsey is not merely an environmental battle, but a fight for the nation's survival.
You put it this way, when your house is burning, when it's a small fire, you might be able to deal with it with buckets of water. But when it's quite clear that the fire has gone out of hand, the fire is raging, and you are refusing to call the fire service, you are saying that you are maybe somebody's coming from next door to bring another bucket of water. What does it tell you? You don't really have any serious desire to get rid of the fire. The window of opportunity to deal with this menace is closing. Our water bodies are being polluted. The water bodies have been diverted, and Combra, so many others. Water is life. Without water, we will all die. Without water, we will all die. And when the Ghana Water Company is telling us that they need to charge us more because we are spending so much more to purify the water or treat the water, and we are still saying that we haven't reached the stage where we call a targeted state of emergency. My question is that, are we waiting, using the analogy I use, for the house to completely burn down and then call the fire service? We need to deal with the canker before the canker completely destroys all of us.
Research from mining endemic areas reveal increasing cases of kidney and liver diseases linked to prolonged exposure to heavy metals through polluted water. Mercury and arsenic accumulate slightly in the human body, damaging vital organs over time. These are the silent victims of an unending tragedy. Children born into a world poisoned before their first breath. Beneath the glitter of gold lies a toxic legacy. Rivers once pure, now laden with mercury, cyanide and filth. From womb to cradle, the damage runs deep. Mothers mourn stillbirths. Others cradle infants whose lives are forever altered by the invisible hand of Galamsey. This is not just an environmental disaster. It is a human catastrophe unfolding in the shadows of greed. At the KNUST Medical School, I have met Professor Sampeni, who tells me how in pregnant women, these toxins cross the placenta, posing a deadly risk to unborn children, resulting in birth defects, developmental disorders, and, in even severe cases, stillbirths.
I was able to extract some heavy metals from vital organs in the body: bone marrow, the brain, the liver, the kidney, and the GIT, that is intestinal, gastrointestinal tract, where samples were taken, digested, and we were able to extract all these heavy metals at various degree of percentages in them. And it's not always that you see them that obvious deformities, but rather some of them, for instance, if it's in the brain, the person will be walking around, you see the person being normal, but there's a problem, or there might be a problem later in life, such as cognitive impairment, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease. In fact, basically disease of the nervous system. When you have this concentration of this heavy metal, especially mercury, you can imagine the sort of problem this person will grow up with in the near future.
Kath, Confirmatory Hospital has told us that the number of kidney-related problems has gone up fourfold. We know about the number of maternal deaths, the deformed babies. We're all being poisoned. The food we're eating, the poison has entered the food chain. If the polluted waters are being used to water your food, when you're consuming your tubers, what do you think you're consuming? Recently, some tubers were taken to the States and found to contain toxins. Our cocoa will soon be rejected because they will tell you that they cannot take cocoa that it's contaminated. So we have to sit up and understand that we face an existential threat and deal with it. But I don't believe the political will is there.
In Ghana today, the fight is continually hampered by the complex interplay of economic desperation and, crucially, a deep-seated web of political patronage and corruption. The big fishes who are financiers, the politicians, the powerful individuals who profit from Galamsey are rarely brought to justice. Their influence permeates every level, making meaningful change incredibly difficult.
If the gold board was not introduced, I mean, those who were taking the profits from the small-scale mining sector were the foreign traders who were taking that money away. In 6 months, we have exported over $6 billion. About $4 billion of that money was going to go into the private or foreign traders. And so the first thing is, you shut the stable door so that the horse doesn't escape, which is what we've done. So if it's from illegal sources, it's from legal sources. At least it's our land that is being destroyed. So let us get the benefit of it instead of foreign traders.
So the analysis, you don't have to be empowered to do the analysis. We believe that it was based on the analysis that they were calling for a state of emergency. It was based on the analysis that they were asking the president to take certain steps. It was based on the analysis that they also said repeal LI 2462, and now also add EI 144, which declassifies parts of Achimota Forest. Now you come to power in January, you cannot even repeal LI 2462 after a lot of campaigning. The press were misled into believing that it was being repealed when it was only being amended. And then Sami Jenfi had told us that it would be repealed when Parliament was on recess. When they came back, it didn't happen. And now the president has said it will be done. Until it's done, we are still waiting. But it just shows you that we say one thing in opposition, but when we come there, the situation suddenly seems to change.
But until those at the very top are held accountable, the foot soldiers will continue their destructive work.
Currently, as we sit, 47 of our forest covers and forest reserves are gone. And the president himself fears, the minister fears, they are calling in the armed forces to go and resuscitate and push these individuals away. Now, small-scale legal activities actually did not start in the last 8 years. It started way back. We recall when Kofi Potofi, the NADMO director, and His Excellency, the former president, the Lord Almighty keep his soul at Amos, went in there crying as to how the forest reserves are being depleted by illegal activities and the rest. So we appreciate that it actually did not start anytime soon. It is human activity and the greed on some part of human beings that moves us into doing some of these illegal activities. We appreciate and understand. That is why governments are sitting, and that is what they told us. The promise of them telling us that it is only 8 months that they've been in government, and for the past 8 months they've taken salary.
The vision of Ghana becoming a formal hub for a significant portion of the world's gold by 2025 remains close yet profoundly distant.
The combination, Tree for Life initiative, reclamation, replanting, but we are not going to replant to allow these bad guys to go back and continue decimating. Strengthen enforcement, deploy permanently, strengthen the forestry commission officers, and give them the things they need to continue fighting it. Provide the alternative and educate the people of Ghana. We are going to do all of that.
The gold is undeniably there, but it's being extracted at a cost that is threatening the very existence of the nation.
Something we usually call non-communicable diseases are on the rise in Kolebu. Within 6 months, they've seen there's a sharp rise in those things, in non-communicable diseases. Okay, somebody also did another research and said that our contumely, our food that we eat, contumely that everybody enjoys, is also being contaminated.
Today, the Galamsey Crisis is not merely an environmental tragedy. It is a profound moral, economic and existential challenge. It demands not just policies and operations, but an unwavering collective will from the government to the local chief, from the international community to the individual citizen. The fight to heal its wounds, to restore its rivers, to reclaim its gold from its people, and to secure its future is Ghana's defining battle. The legacy of Ghana should not be one of poisoned lands and broken communities, but one of resilience, regeneration, and a renewed commitment in its ecological integrity. The clock is ticking and the world watches as Ghana fights for its golden soul. Together we say, stop Galamsey now.